ॐ नमो नारायणाय सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। हरिः ओम्। Suprabhatam. We all are studying a text composed by Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi Ji, Upadesha Sara, with slow and steady our approach towards the study, we could reach to the culmination point of this text. What is the culmination point of this text? Atma samsthiti Swatmadarshanam Atmanirdvaya Atmanishtata. Atmanishtata. Nishtha is that which never changes at all. That means when there is a permanent connection. Now such words called as connection we have to use to make the subject clear. So a permanent connection of the mind to the self without any trace of doubt, and because of that there is no complaint in the life at all. So we have seen a beautiful example of Bhakta Prahlad Ji from Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana. What is a nishtha? This nishtha does not come like that. It requires lots and lots and lots of effort from our side to remove preoccupations of the mind. Our mind is so preoccupied with n number of things. First, our mind is occupied with our own me and minus. And then our mind is occupied with all sort of informations of the world, and it is so much loaded that it is not ready to really understand and reach to the supreme goal. So therefore, different paths are given to reach there. Having understood the path of enquiry, this seeker with right enquiry, with right chintanam, reach to this state which is called as a state of realization. So we have seen what is self-realization. No notion of doership or enjoyership, and there is abidance in the self. How is it possible? Then we have seen the self is advayaha, that which is non-dual, without any otherness. So it is one without the second. So one who understands it, then we have seen this self is a karta. What is a karta? Where there is no action possible. In the self or by the self, there is no action possible. But in the presence of the self, the Atma, the Paramatma Tattva, the action is possible. In the presence of the self, the Prakruti, which is very active, that Prakruti gains this power of action because of the presence of the Atma Tattva, the self. Now there one has to understand, and we have seen yesterday, that this action, how it is incomplete. So Ramana Maharshi Ji, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji started with this Karturagyaya prapyate phalam karma kim param karma tajjadam. So we have seen in last session how karma cannot reach to the paramam, and it also cannot be supreme, because only 4 things it can achieve. What is that? So any action can create something. So that is called as the power of creation. Then with action you can purify something. That example also we have seen. With action you can get something what you do not have. Then the last, with action you can destroy something. So these 4 things are possible. These 4 things are all temporary. All the 4 things are temporary in origin. So therefore, that which starts with one point and ends at one point, that which is called as temporary, that which is called as ephemeral. And therefore, this action which is limited in itself cannot reach to that supreme. And self-realization is no notion of doership and no notion of enjoyership. Having said so, then the question came to the seeker's mind. Ramana Maharshi Ji just explains this beautiful verse where it is said, Jnana varjita jnana hina chit jnanamasti kim jnatumantaram. So if someone says, is there any other consciousness to know this consciousness? So it is, yesterday we have seen, this argument is baseless, it is illogical, because if you understand and if you say there is consciousness A and there is consciousness B, then this B consciousness, if it knows this, then this is limited. So, a consciousness will get limited by another consciousness, and which is not possible because the nature of the consciousness is unlimited, infinite. Therefore, this so called as logic is baseless. And now Ramana Maharshi Ji brings a very beautiful verse. He says, how is that complete Atma Darshanam? Verse number 28. Kim Svarupametyatma Darshane Kim Svarupametyatma Darshane Avyaya Bhava Apurna Chit Sukham Avyaya Bhava Apurna Chit Sukham Kim Svarupam Iti. If a question is asked, what is the nature? Whose nature? My own nature. So what is my nature? If this question is asked, then this is called as enquiry. So we are studying and we are understanding a path of enquiry. So answer is Atma Darshane. How it is possible? We have seen one by one how Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji explained that if you inquire, then what happens? One has to understand. After inquiry, only understand Manasam tu kim naiva manasam. If you correctly inquire at the base of this entity called as mind, then you will understand there is no mind. Similarly, if you inquire about this so-called as fictitious entity, which is an illusory thought called as ego, then that also falls down. And that's how the self-realization can be attained. It is said here, Atma Darshane, that is called as self-realization. How is this self-realization? Now this is a beautiful explanation. Avyayaha. Now Atma is Avyayaha. Please understand here. Self-realization means I am that Atma. I am that Atma. So how I am now? Avyayaha. How am I now? Avyayaha. That means undecaying, indestructible. That I am. So can you imagine now, if this is a Atmanishtha, can there be any fear possible? Can there be any fear possible? That's why I started today with the session that we are so preoccupied with our mind that this deconditioning of the mind is the sadhana, deconditioning of the mind. So, how is that Atma Tattva? Avyayaha. And we have seen what is Avyayaha? That which is indestructible, that which is undecaying. Now, the second important point mentioned here is Abhava. Abhava means, please note it, Bhava means to become. To become. Here, Atma Tattva cannot become something. So you can notice now how the mind has this continuous notion that I want to become this, that, and so on. A child says, I want to become an adult person. Then an adult person says, I want to gain a good knowledge and a good degrees. Then degree is gained. Then I want a post-graduation. and then I want a business, and then I want a great job, and so on. This is how it is called as becoming. Here, Atma Tattva is one without the second. So there is no becoming possible. It is forever. So understand the Sat aspect of Atma. Trikalepi yah tishtati sa Atma Sat. That means that entity, as I have to just use the word, that entity which is called as Sat, it is called as existence. What is existence? That which remains absolutely unchanged in 3 periods of time. That means that is what is eternal in origin, and that's called as Sat aspect of the Atma Tattva. That means Atma Tattva cannot become something at all. Please note it. Then important point is Apurna. What is called as Apurna? So in Bhagavad Gita, in the 2nd chapter, Sthitaprajna Lakshana, Bhagavan explains Apuryamana pratishtham samudramapah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapno tina kama kame. There Bhagavan is explaining what is that true nature of the self. So he takes up one example of the ocean. How is ocean? Ocean is a vast collection of water. How it is? Apurna. It is complete in itself. How can you say so? How much water you take it up from the ocean, it does not become less of water. Then how much water you pour in the ocean, it does not floods here and there. That means how much water is taken, how much water is put, ocean has nothing to do with it, or it takes up because it is so vast. Similarly, the space, how much you put in the space accommodates everything as if it is so vast and it is absolutely near to infinite. So it is not infinite, but for the sake of example one has to understand. So here, how is the ocean? Apurna. Similarly, what happens to this realized person? All the desires, they completely get united with the self, and now there is no desire of anything as becoming, because there is now an unchanged, continuous flow of that bliss. How is it so? Chit Sukham. Because this Atma Tattva is consciousness and bliss itself. Now you will take another important point, we will take up. What is that? Add Sukham to every word. Avyaya Sukham, Abhava Sukham, Apurna Sukham, Chit Sukham. Aha! What a beautiful way to understand it. That Sukham, that happiness is so complete. Why? Because in that happiness there is akhandata. What is akhandata? Because there is no part in the happiness. Whereas the mind, when it says I am happy, that means it is finite happiness. It is a limited experience. But here it is not of that sort. It is avyaya sukham. That means that happiness which is my nature. That happiness which is my nature, which does not come and which does not go. That sukham. Then abhava sukham. That means having become something, if I think I am happy or I will be happy, that means in present situation I am not happy. Think. So when you say abhava sukham, that sukham, that joy which comes after becoming something, that is finite joy, that is limited joy. But here is abhava sukham. That means there is no happiness because of becoming something, but because the nature of the self is happiness. How is that? Apurna, complete. And there is no any possibility by any chance that the incompleteness can touch it or incompleteness can taint it. Not possible. How is it so? Because the nature of this self is consciousness, happiness. And that's how beautifully Ramana Maharshi Ji explains this and removes all sort of doubt as well as conditioning which may be possible. Now it is the verse 29. In the 29th verse, it is said, who is that who gains this self-realization? Bandha muktati tam param sukham. Bandha muktiti tam param sukham. Vindati haji vastudaivikaha. Vindati haji vastudaivikaha. Now this is a very important indication given to all of us by Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji. It is said, tu. Tu is what? That some rare individual, that some rare person. Who is that person? Daivikaha Jivaha. That means Daivika is that Daivi quality, that very divine quality. What are the divine qualities? So, divine qualities are explained in Bhagavad Gita chapter number 3 chapter number 13 and chapter number 16. So that we are going to see. What it is? Now it is said that very rare person, individual who has this divine quality, that individual vindati, gains, knows, attains. What? Parama sukham, that supreme happiness, this person attains. Which person attains? That one who has these divine qualities. Now, how is this paramam sukham? Bandha mukti atitaha. This is beyond this state which is called as a state of bandhana, and maybe one who can understand as something called as state of realization. It is beyond that. So, one point we will take it up. What is called as bandhanam? Bandhanam, understand for sure. Bandhanam, that which is explained in our scriptures, it is not something which is objective in origin, which is gross in origin. It is not. So what this bandhanam is? This is only a wrong notion which is subtle in origin. It is only a wrong notion. So where is this bandhanam? This bandhanam is in the mind. So it is explained, Manaeva manushyanam bandhana moksha yoho, karana moksha yoho. That means this mind is a cause of both. One is called as bondage and one is called as liberation. So which mind is a cause of bondage? That mind which is devoid of divine qualities. Now hope it is hit very correctly. Which mind is the cause of bondage? That mind which is devoid of divine qualities. Then which mind is a cause of liberation? That mind which is endowed with all the divine qualities. Swamiji, can you please mention divine qualities? So Bhagavan explains, in the 13th chapter it has a jnanam. What is this jnanam? That which is a means to understand that kshetrajna, that jneyam, that self. Amanitvam adhambitvam ahimsa shantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham sthairyamatma vinigraha. All these are the divine qualities. Now we cannot keep explaining all these divine qualities here because of the time constraint. Then in 16th chapter it is also beautifully mentioned, Abhayam sattva samshuddhi jnana yoga vyavastitihi danam damascha yajnascha swadhyaya tapa arjavam. These all called as the divine qualities of that rare individual who can gain this self-realization, who can attain that paramam sukham which is beyond the bandhanam and the moksha. It is a beautiful point which is mentioned by Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji. That means we all have to understand Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji's experience and the scriptural understanding called as scriptural injunctions are very, very close, and if I say it is one and the same, it is not even close, it is the same, because the scriptures explain us. We have studied in Tattva Bodh what is the pre-qualification for a seeker to attain the self-realization. Then it is explained, sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari. Sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari. What is this sadhana chatushtaya? Viveka, vairagya, shamadhi shatka sampatti, mumukshutvam cha iti. Vivek, discrimination between nitya and anitya. What is nitya? Nitya vastu ekam brahma tadvyatiriktam sarvam anityam iti. And we now can understand how much we have to be really gear up to remove all preoccupations of the mind, which is called as anityam. So this preoccupation of the mind makes the mind impure and does not allow this mind to reach to that state, to reach to that supreme happiness. Vairagya. What is that vairagya? That vairagya which does not have any wrong notion about the happiness in any object of the world or any person of the world. So that clarity is there that happiness is not somewhere outside, happiness is my own nature, and therefore there is no attachment to anything in this world. Then come Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti. Shama Dama, mind control, Indriya control. Uparama, self-withdrawal state. Titiksha, complete forbearance. Shraddha, faith in the words of Guru as well as in the words of the scriptures. Samadhanam, one-pointedness. Mumukshutvam chaiti, and there is an intense desire of liberation. This person who is a qualified seeker now is absolutely fit for this realization, and that's what mentioned here. What is that? Jivaha tu daivikaha. That individual who has this divine qualities can reach to the Supreme Self. As we have seen, the paths are given to every seeker. Now just to recollect quickly, what are the paths? Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Very important point is selfless action. Selfless action. And the intention of the action should never be to gain some selfish objective or some material object of the world, and it is only for the sake of Lord and Lord Himself. So, whenever we do any action, do it for the sake of Lord, and that's how the Karma Yoga leads a seeker to Bhakti Yoga. What is that? Then Ishvara Ichha, for the sake of Ishvara Ichha. Then we have to do it for the sake of Lord. Every action for the sake of Lord. Then na ichchaya krutam, na swa ichchaya krutam. Then it is called as absolutely selfless, and it is divine also. Then it becomes chitta shodhakam, mukti sadhakam, that purifies our mind and becomes a means to self-realization. So this is one path. One is Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. So Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, one who has understood. Then comes a path of Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, where Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji explains that how the vital airs are used to quieten the mind. But we have seen that's also limited unless and until there is a chintanam, eka chintanat nashametyadaha. Only with the control of the vital airs, the mind can go to the laya avastha, absorption state, but it cannot get destroyed. It only can get destroyed by eka chintanam. And then Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji starts this beautiful path called as path of inquiry, path of knowledge, which we have seen slowly one by one and reach to this state that yes, pre-qualification is must. When we started our Jnana Yoga, this path, there also we have seen that a person who can directly wants to reach to that inquiry state cannot reach to that inquiry stage unless and until he has done a good homework with good preparation, and then only he can reach there, which is called as inquiry, a state of inquiry, a chintanam, the contemplation. Yes, this divine self, one who reaches, now Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji gives a final touch to this beautiful composition where he says, verse number 3030, aham apetakam Nija vibhanakam ahamapetakam Nija vibhanakam mahadidam tapo ramanavagiyam mahadidam tapo ramanavagiyam. So here I would like to start with one question. What is that question to all of us? Am I really ready? Am I really ready for what? For complete absolute freedom. Am I ready to be free? This question to be asked first, because if a seeker of the path of knowledge does not understand this freedom, then he cannot understand the path of inquiry. Please note it. What is this freedom? Let me just first explain you. The mind is so conditioned. Mind is so conditioned that it always with something. Like the first and foremost, it says this body as me. This notion is created. Now, if there is little better understanding, then slowly it can understand, oh, it is not me, but it is mine. But this mine, it does not leave at all. So just see, I am there. Who am I? The first is I am that mind. So many people or individuals, they have this sort of understanding that my mind is unhappy, that means I am unhappy. My mind is happy means I am happy. That means whatever happens to the mind, they understand as if that I am. So this is called as preoccupation, this is called as slavery. There is no freedom at all. Okay, next. So much so people are possessed with their own intellectual ideas and convictions about whatever information they have. I will tell you, whenever you start listening in the beginning to the scriptures, then when it is said nityam and anityam, and people say, the Guru says, this body is anitya. What are you talking? This body is anitya. No. This is there. I can see this. I can touch it. This mind is anitya. Guru, I think you have some problem. You must go to the psychologist or psychiatrist. Oh my dear Shishya, intellect is also anitya. Now so you have to put you, we have to put you in lunatic asylum. So this is because in the beginning, the mind is not ready to understand the scriptural injunctions. Therefore, it is said, how? First you go and serve the Guru. Serve in the ashram. Then what will happen? Then you will achieve some purification of the mind. And then only you can somehow understand something of the scriptures. So please understand, seva is must, because without seva there cannot be a purification of the mind at all. Okay, so this preoccupied mind does not allow us to even think of freedom. Why? Because what is the notion of the mind of freedom? Now this you have to be very careful about it. Notion of the mind about the freedom is, let me do what I wish to do. And that is my notion of freedom. And here people are stuck up. Here people are caught up. And they are bound by this one notion of the mind. What is freedom? Let me do whatever I want to do. Now Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayanand Ji says, what is real freedom? not to do what you feel like doing is real freedom. Swamiji, please come again. Okay. Not to do what you feel like doing is real freedom. That means it is not suppression, it is not control, it is called as sublimation. By right understanding, one should grow above all one's own wrong notions of the mind, and that's called as the real freedom. And that's why I asked the question, are you really ready to be free? Because our own wrong notions are so dear to all of us that we don't want to leave and part with anything. Similarly, somebody asked me this question, Swamiji, if we get detached with all our near and dear, how can we love? Oh my God, what an innocent question. Let me repeat the question. This person said, Swamiji, if I get detached with everyone, how can I love them? Now this is called as wrong notion. Attachment is equal to love. Oh my dear, see, Bhagavan says what? Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara samadukha sukhakshami. What is beautifully explained? That such a person who does not have any attachment to anything, such person really can love anyone, because now he is not preoccupied with any wrong notion, and therefore he understands myself is the self of all, and that person alone can love. Please note it. What love we understand is all conditioning. What is conditioning? I am this, and whatever is connected to this is mine. That is called as conditioning. I am this BMI, and whosoever is connected to BMI are mine, and those who are mine, I can love them, and there are people, those who do not love them also. Yes, it's possible. Therefore, understand that one day they love such person, and one day, some other day, they says, no, I hate this person. So we can understand how fickle is this mind, how confused is this mind, how ignorant is this mind about the real love. Okay, so here is a question to be asked by every seeker to one's own self, am I ready to be really free? Now here Bhagavan says, Ramana Maharshi Ji, what is that? Aham petakam. Having given up this ego, aham, then what? Nija vibhanakam. One who is continuously inquiring, and having inquired, this ego is fallen down. Now please note very subtle point that Bhagavan is explaining to all of us. Nija vibhanakam. Vibhanam. Bhanam means to have the knowledge of one's own self without any effort. So, effortless presence called as bhanam. Please note this word. Effortless presence. Example, effortless, what is going on? That is called as your breath. The air is coming and air is going. Have you tried this? That by any chance, any time, are you putting any effort to say, oh my God, start my breath, I am awake now? Nothing. It's all effortless. Similarly, please note this example. Similarly, one who is effortlessly having this experience of one's own presence without the object, without BMI. That is, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, Mahadidam tapo. This is the greatest tapas of the path of inquiry. What is called as tapas? The greatest austerity. Please note, this is the highest point Ramana Maharshi Ji is explaining in the culmination of his text. What is that? Aham petakam nija vibhanakam. I am aware. How? Selfless. I am aware effortlessly of my own presence, of my own self. Aware of one's own self, effortless awareness. That which is without the object. Now you can appreciate how do we are. How do we say? We says, no, now I am here with this person. Okay, with this person, and so I am happy. Okay, I have this much of bank balance and so I am secure. What is happening? I is there, but it is connected to something, and therefore I experience security, happiness, or even the sorrow. But here it is said, when you are giving up this ego, which is a cause of identification with the not self. This ego is a cause of identification with the not self. Unless and until you give up this ego, you cannot have that effortless awareness of one's own self. And this is a great austerity. This is a great tapas. Mahadidam tapo Ramana Vagiyam. This experience Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji is sharing with all, that yes, these are my revelations, these are my words, this is what Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi uttered. How beautifully Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji explained each and everything about the path to select, the different important aspects of the path, the difficulties a seeker can face in the path. Every path leads to that one and one point of oneness with the self, and how it reaches there, that beautifully Ramana Maharshi Ji explained. And then he explained the path of inquiry, which is the most dear path of his heart. Having seen every detail of this path of inquiry, we have reached to this beautiful culmination where it is said that this Mahat Tapas, this is a great and a difficult austerity. What is that? To experience the self effortlessly with complete awareness. How is it possible? Only by right inquiry. When the ego is dropped, then only this selfless, this awareness which is effortless, that presence of the self is possible. We all bow down at the feet of a great master, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji, who has given us this beautiful text, Upadesha Sara. And we all pray to Almighty Lord as well as our Pujya Gurudev for reaching to this state of pure awareness, where there is no effort to experience one's own self, devoid of any object. So here we complete today our beautiful text called as this Upadesha Sara. Let us chant or sing little short bhajan for Ramana Maharshi ji. मानस भजो रे गुरु चरणम दुस्तर भवसा गरतरणम गुरु महाराज गुरु जय जय स्वामीनाथ जय 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 ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय अरुणाचल शिव अरुण शिवो अरुणाचल शिव अरुण शिवो ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय मानस भजो रे गुरु चरणम दुस्तर भवसागर तरणम दुस्तर भवसागर तरणम। बोलिए सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि जी महाराज की जय। सब संतन की जय। कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम कर्म किं परम कर्म तज्जडम। हरि ओम। Wherever you are, sit quietly, take a good posture, close your eyes, and connect to the last verse of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji, where it is said, Aham petakam nij vibhanakam mahadidam tapo ramanavagiyam. These are Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji's beautiful words uttering. What is that? This is the greatest tapas. What is the tapas? To have selfless, to have effortless awareness, to have effortless awareness of one's own self, devoid of any object in this world. How is it possible? It's only possible he who is equipped with all sadhana chatushtaya, divine qualities, and inquire correctly at the base of this fictitious entity called as ego. The moment you inquire, it falls down. Then alone it is possible to have effortless awareness of the self. Just be, just be. Do not try to become. Trying to become is all conditioning, is all an effect of ignorance. Therefore, right knowledge removes all the conditioning and a person can experience one's own presence of the self. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Have a complete gratitude to that Almighty Lord with His blessings and grace. We got this knowledge and beautiful moments of the life. Have the gratitude for everyone around us who is responsible for what we are today. Om Namo Narayanaya.